Welcome back, everyone. You're still watching Arise Africa. And still looking at stories in Nigeria, a van driver with Bayelsa Radio, Simon Onu, has been shot dead while several others sustained injuries at a political rally in Nembe, Bayelsa State. The gunmen were said to have invaded the rally of the People's Democratic Party on Tuesday afternoon while the event was ongoing. Now, this is coming 3 days to the governorship election in the state. Fidelis Shuriwe, spokesperson of Seriake Dixon, the governor, alleges the attack was carried out by thugs of the All Progressives Congress, APC. According to him, the attackers also opened fire at the protocol bus of the Bayelsa State Government House at a junction between Basambiri and Ogbolomambiri. And yesterday's mayhem in Nembe, Bayelsa State would have reminded Nigerians of the seemingly never-ending insecurity burden of the oil-rich Niger Delta region. The conflict comes in fits and starts, reaching a peak with the killing of environmentalist Ken Saro-Wiwa by the Abacha regime in 1995 over the Ogoni oil product pollution crisis. Now, it has not been as intense since then, with perhaps the Odi massacre by the Obasanjo administration being the most high-profile incident in this long-running saga. Proactive interventions by the Yar'Adua and Jonathan governments seem to have quietened things down a bit. Well, joining us now to look at the various aspects of this problem is Bristol Alagbariya-Emmanuel, a former National Secretary of the Ijaw Youth Council and the convener of the Enough is Enough campaign against sea piracy and insecurity of the waterways. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today.
Thank you, madam. It's a
now,
pleasure.
Thank you. Is there a nexus between what is going on in Bayelsa State at the moment and the general insecurity challenges of the oil-rich Niger Delta region?
Well, I would say what is going on in Bayelsa State is just entirely political.
Okay.
And you know that one thing that the leaders they do, they enslave the people. They take away their financial independence from them. They deprive them from getting access to education. So you live in want, and you always look up to them for survival. So whatever thing they do, they could manipulate you. You know, they take away that independence, that survival instinct from you. You now wait for them for handouts. And, you know, in every electoral process, Togri is now a capital. Just as people, as they plan the election, they look for people that will fund the election. They look for people that will prepare the manifesto and the governance system. They also look for people that will provide that violent aspect of it, and that is their contribution. And that is at stake in the entire process. Now, these youths, they have organized themselves now. And during election, they come for them. Before now, they pay them off. Now they compensate them with political position. They're in government now, and they participate. And that has all equally led to the decline today we experience in our governance system. That is why government can no longer live up to its responsibility again. Before, the moment government gives you their word that this will be done, you can go and sleep. But now, before 24 hours, they could upturn their word several times, and there is no consequence about it. In other climes, when government don't keep to their promise, they resign to protect the integrity of the government. So I would say what has happened today, people that their services were hired as thugs because it is part of an electoral system, now tolerated by our government. If INEC, through the government, had put up a system whereby there must be deterrents. People must pay for electoral offenses, for electoral crime. Today, it would have curbed most of these excesses. Some persons should have been barred for life, that they will never participate in an election because of their history, their antecedents of violence.
I do agree with you that people must be held accountable. But one will wonder why the stakes so high in Bayelsa State. It is synonymous with political thuggery, with violence during election. Why is the stakes so high in Bayelsa State?
Well, it's not as if it's so high in Bayelsa State. It's everywhere. River State, to my own opinion, ordinarily would have experienced the worst in the history of this country if APC had contested this election. It's all about patronage.
We're talking about the last general election.
Yes. So it's all about patronage. Today, politics is an enterprise. People use that to break into the economic reserve of this country, and they use that to sponsor their affluent and lavish life. That is why you see that they cannot afford to go back to where they're coming from. And we ask, if we want to take a critical analysis of these individuals that are in government today or that are jostling so hard to get into government, what are their antecedents? Where have they worked? What experience have they gathered? You can't give what you don't have. And these are the things that have led to the decline in government, and we must change it. The funny thing is that they also do not love the upcoming generation, because as a father, a dying father will always wish that he has a succeeding generation that they have prepared strategically that can take over. Because we have the international community to contend with in terms of ideas. Because the only thing that gives you a stake is when you're sufficiently independent before the international community.
We do hear about immigration officers that have been kidnapped. What do you know about that?
Well, I think it happened around One axis, leading to Bonny. That waterways, it has been characterized with lots of crises, insecurity over these years, spanning close to 15 years. Today, via our campaign, Enough is Enough campaign, we've been able to shout to high heavens, draw the attention of the government, and we ask ourselves that why is it that anything that happens in this region, especially when it has to do with the lives and the concern of the people, adequate attention has not been given to it. The only thing the government cares about is just the economy, in as much as you do not tamper with the oil resources. When there were agitation that affected the economy of the government, you saw that the government were restless. If there would be oil platform that was attacked, overnight they will mobilize, ensure that they don't only go there to reopen that facility, they will look for the culprits that have instigated the attacks. But when it has to do with human life, they pay lip service, they are less concerned. That waterways is controlled by government gazette, NIMASA, NIWA, Nigerian Inland Waterways Agency, NIWA, NPA. These are the statutory agency of government that manages that water. They generate revenues from them. If you want to establish a jetty, the agencies that conduct that give certificates, that conduct a pre-qualification assessment for equipment, for jetties and other light equipment that moves around the waterway, are carried out by NIWA. But they are also saddled with the responsibility to ensure that the internal waterways are secured. But they don't do it. The headquarters of NIWA is in Kogi State. And I just wonder, how can the head of NIWA, the beam his searchlights in Lagos, beam his searchlight in Bayelsa? But this is where you have mostly the water movement. And you know, the water economy is quite strategic. There is what they call landlocked countries. Landlocked countries are countries that are just in between two countries that are not connected by water. And you know that you can move heavy goods via water than you could move by the air or on land. Because a backhoe liner could carry up to 1,000 containers and move them from one point to another point, via the sea route. But there is no equipment that can move 1,000 containers on the land, or no plane that can fly 1,000 containers. So the government should have looked at that resources and protect that environment. Now, the Niger Delta people were exposed to this attack because of unemployment. Okay. And
that brings me to my next one. A lot of questions come up here, but for want of time, let me pick it from where you dropped unemployment. And I want to bring in the international oil companies here. To what extent do you think that they play a role in what we are seeing in the Niger Delta at the moment and the level of unemployment? Are they doing enough?
Well, the international oil companies, they are not doing a lot because I would say it is strategic. You know, we have a government that is not working, so everybody, they look at the avenues where they could grab. So it's like survival of the fittest. Everybody is struggling. Now, the international community, if they had wanted to establish permanent peace, the international best practices. And, you know, even this local content policy we're talking about, local content is viewed nationally, seeing Nigeria as a local community, not the community itself. So we're thinking if they should have established a local content policy, which could be ascribed as community content, whereby there will be deliberate policy of this government that the community should be integrated strategically. On areas where they don't have competence, there should be a plan that over a period of plan, people should be trained. And you know that the community are the best set of persons that could manage these facilities if they are seen or if they perceive that they are integral part of the success. Now, because of they have been rejected and they've been abandoned, whatever thing that happens there doesn't concern them. And now criminals, I'll call them criminals, hide under that sentiment. They say that they are carrying out agitation for resource control, whereas their agitation is entirely criminal, and we condemn it. Even while we're in council, as former National Secretary General of Council, we're condemning those things. The government should strategically engage the people. Though some persons will say there are intervention agencies like the NDDC, like the Niger Delta Ministry, but they're not doing anything. You hear of recent that Mr. President have ordered for a forensic audit of the Niger Delta, the NDDC. And we're saying that not just forensic audits alone, because we know that it will pass through procurement system and party members will sponsor or float companies that will carry out this auditing process because they want to make money from it. If they entirely want to ensure that they set a standard that will serve as deterrent to others, they should bring in internationally reputable company that can come and carry out this exercise. I want to drag you again to what's happening to our environment. NLNG will soon start their Train 7 investment in Bonny. More than 10,000 persons will get into Bonny. What are the plans by the federal government to strategically take projects there to ensure that there is road, internal road?
Question.
Medical.
That's a question we'll have to ask them. Thank you so much. We have to go, Mr. Emmanuel. I know you're very passionate about the Niger Delta and waterways. We have to go. Thank you so much for coming on the show.